Hello everyone, welcome to Homeschool Autism Life. My name is Jamie. This week's video, I wanted to talk about something that I saw on Facebook once again. It was a video called Would You Take Autism Away If You Could? And it was talking to some autistic people who were like, no, 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 no. And then it was talking to some parents who were like, yes, 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 yes. And I thought it was an important thing to discuss as autism parents in just a different way. For the autism parent, it was, I don't like watching my child struggle. I wish that I could take away the hurdles and stuff like that, and make it easy, make parenting easier, that sort of thing. But it was all for the autistic people that were answering that question. They were looking at it and going, well, this is an integral part of who I am. And so I wanted to chat about it from the perspective of, what does the world say about autism, and what does God think about autism, or how does he see autism? So it's not a clear cut answer. The world sees autistic people as broken for the most part. They're, like Down syndrome or any special needs. There's this idea that, um, that they're, just broken individuals. They aren't able to think clearly. They're not able to do as much. And so their value, according to the world, is much, much lower because society is going to have to carry them, or they're going to be on disability for the majority of their lives. And so, parents or siblings or somebody's going to have to look after them. And such a horrible, horrible thing. And the Bible talks about the blind and our responsibility as believers to look after those with special needs, right? And doesn't talk about autism directly, and he doesn't talk about, he talks about those that have leprosy and, things that were in his time, right? That that was happening in the Bible times, and he goes up to those people. They're not broken individuals to the Lord. He sees them as reaching out and loving on them and stuff. But I was reading a book by Charles Colson's daughter. It's a book called Finding Max, or Dancing with Max, excuse me, Dancing with Max. And a friend of mine had given it to me, and it took me a long time to get to reading it because I don't read tons right now with homeschool and stuff. But it was one of the things that this book said towards the end. She goes, it took me a long time to realize, but Max, her son, who is severely autistic, he doesn't lie. There's no malice. He doesn't pretend to like something to make others happy. There, there's so much there. There's so much there that he can't even do. Like and we look at all the things that they can't do as being a bad thing. And she's like, I suddenly realized that Max is closer to God's perfect human, Adam in the garden, than I am. Because I can lie and I can pretend, I can pretend that I like something for the benefit of somebody else because I want them to like me or whatever. She's like, I do carry malice sometimes for those who look at my son and think, oh, I haven't treated him, or I haven't punished him well enough, or, to fix his behaviors or whatever. And she's like, I have all of these sins that my son isn't even capable of. And suddenly I looked at him, and I looked at my son very differently, because his joy is abounding, and it doesn't take him work. If he is happy, he is happy. And I can take so many lessons from my son. there are other things in life that he won't be able to do, maybe. And, you know, that maybe you would think, oh, that's regrettable that he can't do those things. But at the same time, I'm like, it doesn't affect him. He doesn't look at his life and go, oh man, I wish I could do that. He's happy as he is. And there's so many lessons to be taken from that kind of joy and happiness. So the question of would I take away his autism if I could? I think a couple of videos ago I went off on a rant about the what if questions. um, this is a what if question to the nth degree. Because I don't have that ability. I have no no chance of having that ability. Um, and I don't think that it's worth a lot of time and effort. I'm willing to say that. I don't think that it's worth a lot of time and effort to ponder. The one thing that is my responsibility is to do with what God has given me with joy and purpose, and that's where I'm going to focus my energy on. And I wanted to chat about this just because I look at it and go, there's so many things that I think the world can distract us by, have us focus on instead of focusing on what we should, which is if God allowed this to happen to our family for whatever reason he allowed it for, I need to be obedient. I need to obey whatever he tells me to do with my son, and to trust him for the future. And those are the things that I'm going to focus on rather than the what if questions, because the what if doesn't matter. It's never going to change anything. And another thing that I thought about was I had read recently that one of the the main ways that the devil tempts us is by showing us what we don't have. So what he was talking about was that in the Garden of Eden, they could eat from any tree in the whole of the garden, but there's one tree that they couldn't have. And that was the one thing that the devil was like, yeah, you could eat everything else, but what about this one tree? And did God really say, was he really faithful? Did he really say that, you would surely die? Oh, what he meant was, and I feel like this question is doing just that. You don't have a typically developing child, or you don't have a typically developing child and the one child that you have that's special needs. What could you focus on that in that, if you could change it, if you could fix it, if you could, and every time like when I came to that question and I saw that question, my brain was just like, yeah, it's stealing the joy. It's stealing the joy of what you actually do have, which is this child, this relationship. And there's no point. There's no point in looking and being tempted by, or grieved by, or longing for this reality that doesn't exist. There's a bird that landed on my water barrel that's like 3 feet away from me. um, you know, it's stealing the joy. It's stealing the joy that you can have right now by having you focus on what you can never have, or what's maybe in your future, which is fine. If it's in your future, that's terrific. But I look at it and I go, I want to live for right now. I want to live in the way that God wants me to live. And that's more important to me than anything else. And I will always, drinking out of my water barrel. It's just a thrilling idea that we don't have to allow joy to be stolen from us by looking for something we don't have. And I really, as time has gone on, those what if questions, those, you know, if I could, had the power, which I don't, but if I did, there's so many things that, going back, do you have guilt? That was the video that I was talking about. I'll leave it linked down below in case you didn't see it. But if I didn't have this situation, what could I do differently? What could I have changed? And that guilt, again, not useful, not helpful. So I think all of us think about it on occasion where we go, what would life look like if my child wasn't autistic? And I literally don't have an answer for that because I can't even imagine it. It's not even something that, from the time he was very, very little, he was autistic. Even if I didn't know it, he was autistic. And so our lives were indelibly, is that the word? I think that's a word. But our lives were changed the minute he came into our family and was as he is. And I'm okay with that. I'm 100% okay with that because God allowed it for a reason. And I look at the benefits to him. Who looks at the benefits of autism? I do. I look at him and I go, he is so joyful, and he doesn't have to carry some of the burdens that typically developing people do. And I'm okay with that. And my girls, I could look at my girls and go, oh, one day they're going to have to look after their brother, and that's such a horrible thing. And yet I don't see it that way. I see them loving on their brother even now in preparation for that. And I see them being humans that, people their age aren't. Their concerns are way not loftier, I shouldn't say that, but their concerns are, yeah, much more rooted in things like how do we live our lives and obey God, rather than I need to get my hair and nails done. And I know girls their age that are like that. Yeah, their lives have been forever marked and changed by their brother, and I'm okay with that. So, to answer the question, would you would you take autism away if you could? The answer is no. No. Mainly because it's a silly question anyway. I hope that this question, or this video has helped you when you see or hear, um, you know you see a kid your child's age doing something, like he has a job, and there's a boy in our town who, he was born like days apart from Darian, and he's always packing my groceries and through the till and the whole 9 yards. And every time I see him, and then I have my son with me and stuff, there's always the temptation to go, oh man, that's what Darian is missing out on. Or, oh man, I wish that he could have a job and be this other person. And I've chosen to be happy, with what God has given me, and whatever he has given me. Going back to the video I just filmed, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. I am happy with what the Lord has given me, and I don't covet anyone else's child. And I don't wish to change my child because it would be easier, or it would be easier for him, or anything like that. Yeah, there is a reason and a purpose and a point to everything that God has allowed, and I am willing to live in his will as opposed to my own. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that you have a wonderful day. And if you have any thoughts, feel free to leave them down below. It's just a conversation I wanted to start and to have, because yeah, if Satan's job is stealing our joy and saying, look, this is what you don't have, I don't want that to be something that we all carry around and deal with, without knowing that that's the plan. So I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.